You become what you think. In 1869, a 27-year-old man who had just graduated as a doctor of medicine from Harvard was going through a crisis of meaning. This was not the first time he dealt with adversity. Throughout his 6 years in medical school, his education was interrupted by different illness and bouts of depression. But this time it was worse. He even contemplated suicide for months. The young man's name was William James, who would later become the leading psychologist in America and one of the founder of the philosophical school of pragmatism. It took James there 3 years to overcome depression, something he did by himself. To be clear, James wasn't just feeling down. John McDermott, editor of the writings of William James, wrote about the severity of his mental state. James spent a good part of life nationalizing his decision not to commit suicide. During this time, James also had panic attacks and hallucinations. These wasn't new to him. His father faced the same agonizing things year before him. These feats made James believe that his condition was biological and therefore something he couldn't overcome. But in 1870, James made a psychological breakthought after reading an essay by Charles Renouvier, a French philosopher. In his journal, he wrote, I think that yesterday was a crisis in my life. I finished the first part of Renouvier's second essays and see no reason why his definition of free will, the sustaining of a thought, because I choose to when I might have other thoughts, need be the definition of an illusion. At any rate, I will assume for the present until next year that it is no illusion. My first act of free will shall be to believe in free will. This realization is at the core of pragmatism, the school of philosophy that James and Charles Sanders Peirce founded years later. James realized that we have the ability to choose one thought over the other. In other words, we can control what we think. However, James doesn't say we can control our consequences. When we sit down and observe our thoughts for a few minutes, we will notice that a lot of things flow through our mind. The thoughts are just there. Nothing we can change about that, but since we have free will, we can decide which thoughts we focus on. Hence, we can influence the direction of consequences. This realization is critical to the way we live. Is the difference between I can't help but feel this way and I feel this way because I decided to feel this way. The emphasis is on deciding, and that's what this book is about. With practice, you can get better at controlling your thoughts so you can decide what you think. And with better control over our thoughts, we can improve the quality of our lives and the outcome of our careers. That's my position in this book. You have the ability to decide what you think, and since the result of your life depends on your thoughts, I think it's the most important thing in life. When we improve the way we think, nothing is impossible to achieve. That simple realization changes everything. Many great thinkers have written about the importance of thoughts. But William James' godfather, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who also inspired James a great deal, put it most simply, you become what you think about all day long. I believe that's true, but we must realize that action follows thoughts. That means you can't change your action without changing your thoughts. Let's start.